Well, good evening, and welcome back to yet more Texas Talkin', the only show in the Lone Star State daring to ask the obvious questions out loud and then staring into the camera while everyone else pretends not to notice. I'm your host, Shiloh Platts, triggering leftists with an iconic cowboy hat and trolling their enablers with an unfiltered hot mic. Now, let me ask you something very simple, folks. Have you ever looked at some of the career politicians in the Texas legislature and thought, wow, these people are deeply serious adults who live in the real world? Yeah, me neither. Because up until recent years, Texas politics has been unfortunately dominated by a very specific personality type: sweet talkers, professional promise makers, and people who've never fixed a problem in their lives but are absolutely convinced they should be in charge of fixing yours. And that brings us to tonight. Running for the Texas State Senate is someone who is refreshingly different, someone who doesn't need a focus group to tell her which way the wind is blowing, someone who actually understands that government exists to serve families, not micromanage them. Her name is Rhonda Ward. And here's the part that really scares the political class. She's not running to join the establishment, folks. She's running to disrupt it. Think about how rare that is. Rhonda Ward isn't a mega donor's pen pal. She's not auditioning for cable news hits. She's not here to give you a 1,000-word explanation for why nothing ever gets done. She's here because Texas is getting more expensive, more bureaucratic, and more disconnected from the foundational values that made us great. And that's dangerous. Not to Texans, of course, but to the people who benefit from things staying broken. Because Rhonda Ward believes in things that, frankly, used to be common sense. For instance, parents should be in charge of their kids. Taxpayers deserve respect. Public safety actually matters. And the Texas Senate should work for Texans, not insiders with capital parking passes. Radical ideas, I know. What makes her candidacy interesting and threatening is that she doesn't talk like a politician. She talks like someone who's lived under the policies that politicians pass because she has. She knows that big government solutions always seem to come with a bigger price tag, fewer results, and a lecture about why you're the problem for noticing. And she's not interested in playing that game. So tonight, before the spin machines fire up, before the labels get slapped on, before the consultants tell you what you're supposed to think, we're going to hear directly from her. No filter, no translator, no noise. Ladies and gentlemen, if Texas is going to keep being Texas, we're going to need leaders who remember what that actually means and what it looks like. Rhonda Ward is one of those people, and she's here tonight. So stay right there, and let's get dialed in. And joining us now is candidate for Texas State Senate District 3, my friend Rhonda Ward. Rhonda, welcome back.
Nice to see you, Shiloh. Great to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. You are, of course, right in the thick of a primary contest for Republican nomination for Texas Senate District 3, as I mentioned. I know you've spent countless hours working for the Republican Party, advancing and fighting for the conservative cause. And so I want to ask you, what would you say are your most notable accomplishments over the years? Because you're not new to this.
No. Well, SREC is my current just my previous position, which is, as a lot of your viewers may not know, it's the State Republican Executive Committee, and we're like the board of directors for the Republican Party. And I was elected to fill Janice Holt's unexpired term, and then of course she beat Ernest Bales, and now she's a state rep. And then I was elected at convention by my Senate district to go ahead and fill that term. So I did step down from that position about September 1 to focus on my campaign. But during that time, you're going around and you're promoting the party. And that's the job of an SREC, is to promote and preserve the party. Before that, I was the president of Nacogdoches County Republican Women for 3 years. And then before that, I was always on the board for Republican Women. And then I've been a precinct chair and an election judge. Always just been involved in politics as far as what always knew pretty much what time it was. I'll put it that way. So that's my as far as with their SREC, we did trainings, to train precinct chairs and county chairs. We actually had a training in Lufkin, and we had over 100 people there. And it was done by me and Dan Hunt, my committee man. And people were just hungry for information, of how they could help the Republican Party. And we were there to guide them along, formed some great relationships there with county chairs, precinct chairs, and just people that want to be involved.
Helping to
And
build
those
the
are
grassroots bench, right?
yes, oh yes, yes. We've got a deep bench, but we always want to build that bench. So
Speaking of building the bench and building the bench that we're about to have in the Texas State Senate, what made you decide to run for state senate?
well, part of it was being the SREC and going to all of the counties, the 18 counties that encompass this Senate district. I was already going to those county party meetings, Republican women meetings, the Republican club meetings, and you build relationships with those people, and they trust you. And this Senate district was 76% for Trump this last election. And this is a very conservative district, probably the most conservative in the state. And you would leave a meeting and they would say, "We need a conservative senator. We need someone that's going to reflect the
Makes
conservative
sense
will
to
of the
me.
people." Yes. And you just keep thinking, you're going to find somebody that's going to do that will step up and do that. And then people started asking me, "Why don't you do it?" And I was like, really wasn't on my bucket list. So, but God has bigger plans for us than we do for ourselves. And I did pray about it. I did not pray to be a senator. I didn't pray to, I just said, "Lord, if this is what you want for my life, this is your plan, then I will, if you open the doors, I'll walk through those doors." And literally the next day, my phone rang with an opportunity that I knew was an affirmation. And then it has just snowballed since then. Every day or every week, there is an affirmation that I'm doing exactly what God has called me to do. So that's how my story of being here.
Let's talk contrast for a minute, right? I hear
Okay.
quite frequently one of the frustrations that many voters have is that they don't feel that there are enough meaningful differences between opponents
Mhm.
in political contests. And maybe not this race,
Mhm.
I don't know. But I hear that just kind of as a general statement. What would you say
Right.
are the most noteworthy differences ideologically
Uh,
on policy between you and your opponent?
well, my opponent worked for a Democrat congressman for 6 years in Washington, D.C. Um, I have, and then was on school board and then became a Republican when his House seat came available. I do have an opponent. His name is Trent Ashby. He's a current House rep. He's been there 14 years. Um, he worked for a Democrat congressman. I have never voted for a Democrat, much less ever worked for one. That's one of the stark contrasts between us. I also I'm a pro-Trump gal. I
I'm a
voted for
pro
Trump
Trump
in six.
guy.
Yeah, I voted for Trump in 16 and 20 and in 24, and then in 24 helped with some of the Trump Force 47s, what we called it, trainings around the Senate district. I never saw my opponent. And his entire House district lies within my Senate district. And I never ran into him at all. In fact, I never met him until in June of this past year. I met him at a luncheon. So I'd never even seen him. Um, you know, I think it's just telling he's just not real in tune with the grassroots. And that's just concerning to me. Um, I was at a meeting the other day. Dr. Robin Armstrong, that we all know and love, was the speaker. And my opponent met him for the first time that night. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So,
So
I mean, and Dr. Armstrong's been there, 15 years, and my opponent has been in office, will be 14 years. Also, I'm just not confused on where I stand. with anything. Um, my opponent, he voted to recognize the three Islamic holidays this past session, the Eid al-Fitr, Ramadan month, and then Pakistani Day. 39 other Republicans registered a no vote in the journal for that and even made notes of why. Um, I actually had a debate with him the other night, called this out, and he actually said that that wasn't the way he voted. But I do have it posted on my Facebook page of the actual journal where he did not register a no vote. I think we all know if you don't vote no, then your vote is yes. So to me, if that's not an important enough to take a stand on, then what else is not important enough?
So
And
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
yes,
ahead.
it's furthering the Islamification of Texas, is the way I look at it.
I just talked about that the other night
Yeah,
with guests that
yeah,
I had on who Representative Brent Money. I assume you know him. And
yes,
we were talking
yes,
about
yes, I do.
this rise of radical Islam in Texas and
Yes,
these
yeah.
enclaves where they want to institute Sharia law, which is a very
Hmm.
serious problem in my view. As
Yeah.
far as policy goes, I want to peel that back a little
Okay.
bit. Where do
Okay.
the two of you differ, would you say, the most on key policy issues that matter to voters? And this segues into my next
Uh,
question, but I'll let you
I
address that.
guess for me, um, I'm going to be a champion and a fighter for people. By trade, I'm a property tax consultant and a real estate appraiser. I've done that for 23 years. Property taxes are out of control, um, and they're unsustainable at the levels we're at now. We need property tax reform, and he's done nothing since he's been there for 14 years. And this just didn't happen this year. You have to listen to people, and you have to know what is top of mind in your district and what keeps people up at night, what bothers them. And to me, you have to listen to people. And I hear many people say they, especially in his house district, they've called and no answers. They've emailed and gotten no response. I will be available to the people. I'm already responding to people now that call me about different issues.
There's so
So
much value in that. So much value in that
yes,
because so often voters, constituents rather, feel disconnected from their state senator, from their state representative. And
yes,
how tragic is
yes.
that? Because
Oh, it's
you're going to be
it's it's
disconnected from your congressman. Everybody already expects that, but we expect to have,
yeah,
a close relationship wherever we can with our
yes.
local elected officials.
Yes. And like I said, I think the stark contrast is I've never once seen where he congratulated the president on the big beautiful bill. Never once congratulated him on his win. I just that's a stark contrast. I am very much a very conservative,
MAGA
smaller government,
Republican, maybe we call it what
MAGA,
it is,
MAGA,
right?
MAGA Republican, Republican for limited government and putting more money in people's pockets. We we really need limited government.
So
So
I couldn't agree
that's a
more.
difference as well.
So we talked about property tax. I think that is top of mind with pretty much every Republican
Yes.
voter. In addition to that, what issues are you ready to tackle on day one of the next legislative session?
I, property taxes is my number one. That's the first bill that I would file is property tax reform. I really am, I think it's wonderful that the lieutenant governor and the governor have come out so aggressively for
Yes.
wanting property tax reform. I actually, when I announced May 30th, the very first town hall I had in June, I said I'd like to see the eventual elimination of property tax. And, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, she actually said it. And then I also said that I think we need to look at our property tax studies. We need to widen that margin. Right now it's at 5%. That is that's too narrow a margin. We also need to look at doing just reappraisals every 3 to 5 years. People can't budget when you're doing this every year. And I noticed the governor came out with that same plan.
Yes.
I was actually in Houston when was fortunate enough to be there in Houston when he announced his reelection and then unveiled his, property tax bullet points. And I was sitting there going, okay, I think I've seen this, but it's good. And then the other day I was listening to a podcast that he was on with Luke Macias, and he said we've nibbled at the edges of property tax reform, and I've been saying that for a while that we've nibbled at this. We need to do it more, and I thought maybe somebody's listening out there. So anyway, it's good to see that they're listening as well. that we are at unsustainable levels at this point. So that's the first bill that I would file, would be property tax reform. And then really what's top of mind with people right now, I'm hearing a lot about the Sharia law and the rise of
Yes.
Islam.
Yes.
And I just think that we've got to start thinking outside the box on that. Of, my Bible doesn't instruct me to lie, cheat, and steal to overthrow my government, and that's okay. But their Quran does. And, maybe, I don't know. I think I would like to explore declaring it maybe a political ideology and not a religion, because that's how they're getting away with so much stuff, is calling it a religion. And with religious liberties, religious freedom. And I just think there's something that maybe we could explore with that. And I really would like to do that.
We are less than 60 days out from the March 3rd election day. Of course, early voting starts on
Yes.
February 17th. What can
Yes.
my viewers do to help you? Where do you need help?
They can go to rhondaforsenate.com. I have right now over 350 endorsements.
Wow.
We've knocked on over 45,000 doors. We're out there. We blew through yard signs.
Your signs are all over the place. I see them all the time.
Well, that's good. If anybody wants a yard sign, they can put it on rhondaforsenate.com. But the support, I want their support, but I want to earn their vote. And but like I said, go to Rhonda for Senate. You can go to endorsements there. You can also go how I can help. And if you need a yard sign, you want a block walk, you want to volunteer as a poll watcher, we can do that as well. And then also just the endorsements and the encouragement. It's amazing the texts that I get from people and the people that say that they're praying for me. And it just means so much. It just gets you, it just the support. The people of Senate District 3 they're great people, and they're my
Salt of the
people.
earth.
They're my people, and this is an ag district, and I'm fortunate enough to live out in the country on a ranch, and I want to preserve that way of life.
Amen.
This is an ag district. We need to know that we are going to be able to promote and preserve this culture, but also, we also have to remember we have everything they need in the bigger cities. They might have a few things we want, with some shopping opportunities or museums. But when you look at where's all the timber and where's the oil and gas and where's the water, where does that come from? And it comes from East Texas and Southeast Texas. We couldn't function without Senate District 3, and we need a leader that's going to represent the people with boldness and courage, and know that sometimes you've got to make the hard decisions. I have no PAC money. I don't have any Austin money. My opponent has done.
You repeat that, please, because I know that I've heard buzz out there that I've dispelled myself. Say it again.
I do not have any special interest money. I do not have any lobbyist money. No. So I just I've got individual donors from this Senate district. I have a few outside the Senate district. A lot of those are family some of my family, but most all of my money is from my contributions have been from this Senate district. That says a lot. It also tells me I'm not beholden to the Austin lobbyist. I'm beholden to the people of Senate District 3. That's who I answer to. And I will be their voice in Austin. And we need East Texas and Southeast Texas values reflected in Austin and not the other way around.
Amen. I couldn't agree more. Rhonda, I want to thank you for taking time to come on and talk to us for a few minutes tonight. May God bless you, my friend, and may God continue to bless the great state of Texas. Thank you for helping us keep Texas talking.
Thank you, Shiloh.
Stay dialed in to interviews and content just like this by clicking that follow button on my Facebook page, or hit the subscribe button to learn more about exclusive access that you won't want to miss.